So as I said, we will start with the topic called procurement. Okay. So what is called a procurement? Procurement is basically a buying activity. Okay. Anything. Okay. It can be any product. So whatever you're going to buy, that becomes a procurement. It's primarily a buying activity. And again, each and every company have to use their strategic decision to look for the better way of procuring the product for their company. And again, here the decision that the company needs to be taken in such a way, they need to integrate the procurement method along with the materials management and also the logistics. So what is the mission of this procurement? Okay, so each and every company should go for a procurement considering the product. It can be the raw material as well, or and again, it can also be a services which are being needed by the production, distribution, and service organization at the right time, the right place, and the right price, and the right quality and the quantity. So whenever you're procuring the product from a third party or a supplier, okay, you need to ensure that the product or raw material or service which are required for production, distribution, and the service, it should be available at the right time, at the right price, at the right place, and also right quality and the right quantity. And again, why we need to go for a procurement? What's the importance? Okay, uh, this the decision of procuring the product is will help for the financial leverage of the company, and also that this procurement decisions will impact on 40 to 60 percentage of the sales dollar. So now we'll see what are the things that we need to be purchased. Okay, what is to be purchased basically. So we need to purchase the price, quality, and service. With respect to price, the cost of the goods, the terms of sales, and then the discounts that the supplier is offering to the company, to the customer, and what quality. Okay, they should ensure that you need to purchase the customer should ensure that they are going to purchase the quality which will meet all their specification, and it will also conform to the quality standards. And with respect to service, uh, they should also ensure that they are going to have on time and damage free delivery, and the procured part will have accuracy, and the availability will be often. And the company should also ensure that uh, they are going to get the product support. And it is always essential that the company should look into price, quality, and service before they buying the product. So we'll see next inventory. What is inventory? Okay, inventory is nothing but a stock or a store of goods. Okay, it can be anything. It can be a stock or store of goods. Okay, so you need to store the product whatever you purchased. So you need to have some place. The storage of the goods in a place, or stock of the goods in a place, that you call that as inventory. And the inventory is again divided into two types. One is independent demand inventory, and one is dependent demand in inventory. Um, we will see what is the example of independent demand and dependent demand in further slides. So it's always important to know, to understand that independent demand is always uncertain, whereas dependent demand is certain. So what is independent demand? Okay. Suppose if you take the complete product, it can be a laptop, or it can be a desktop, or it can be a television, or a refrigeration, or a automobile vehicle, car, it can be a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, a commercial vehicle. Okay, if you take the complete product, then it becomes independent demand. It is always uncertain. Whereas when you're taking the dependent demand, which means the product that are required, the parts that are required to manufacture the product. Say, for example, the computer will have different uh, parts: monitor, keyboard, central processing unit, and similarly, the automobile vehicle, it consists of different parts: engine, transmission, brakes, tires, clutch, etc. So these are the things which comes under dependent demand, which is always certain. So independent demand basically is a complete product. It's basically which is in the form of finished goods, or it can be a product, or it can be items that are ready to be sold to the customer. For example, a computer, a automobile vehicle, television, refrigeration, etc. And the dependent demand is the one, the parts that are required to make the particular product. It can be the computer or a television, or refrigeration, or a car. And why this is coming under independent demand? Why the parts coming under dependent demand? Say for example, if the supplier, the brake supplier, uh, is not only supplying to one particular OEM, okay. Similarly, the clutch supplier is not going to supply their parts only to the particular OEM. Okay, they have number of customers. Okay, uh, it is always the inventory is always dependent on the demand that the customer is going to have for their product. So that's why it is always coming under the dependent demand. And again, uh, if one of the OEM is not going to purchase the clutch or a brake or a tire from the particular supplier, and again their business is not going to affect because they have multiple customers. Okay, whereas when you're taking the complete product of a vehicle, okay, it becomes an independent demand. It is again it also depends on the supply and the demand of the customers, end users basically. Okay, and again it is not depending on any inventory model. So it becomes independent demand inventory model. And we have different types of inventories. So the inventories may be raw material and the purchased parts, or the raw material which is coming as a partially completed goods, which are said to be in work in progress. And the finished goods inventories, basically the manufacturing firms or merchandise, which is in the form of retail stores. All these are a part of inventory. The inventory can also be in the form of replacement of the parts, tools, and supplies, basically supplies, goods in transit to warehouse or customers. So you see the work in progress is also a part of the inventory. Even the goods which is coming from the supplier to the customer is also a part of inventory. And again, um, before you sell the vehicle or any product to the end user, even that also comes as uh, a part of inventory. Basically, the goods in transit to warehouse or customer both can be a part of inventory. So, what are the functions of inventory? So, the important functions is to meet the anticipated demand. And if the demand is more, then they have to store the product or the end product or goods in a large quantity. And again, this inventory is required to smooth the production requirement. Okay, suppose you want to manufacture 1,000 laptops in a month, then you need to have all the 1,000 uh, manufacture 1,000 parts of 2,000 laptops. You need to have all the required raw materials to carry out the complete assembly of the laptop, and also to decouple operations, to protect against the stockouts, to take advantage of order cycles, and again the inventory will help to hedge against the price increases, and this will help to permit operations to take advantage of the quantity discounts. So these are all the functions. Now we will see the objective of the inventory control. And before we go to the objective, we will see what is called inventory turnover. Okay, inventory turnover is nothing but the ratio of average cost of goods that are sold to average inventory investment. How much is the company is going to invest, and again how much is the average cost of goods that the company is going to sell to the customer. This will determine the inventory turnover. So normally the ratio should always be in such a way, the average cost of goods that are being sold should be higher than the investment what the particular company is going to invest. So to have the healthy financial statement of any company, the inventory turnover should always be higher than one, which means the average cost of goods that are being sold should be high than the average investment that they made for the inventory. And again, the objective of the inventory control is to achieve the satisfactory level of customer service while keeping the inventory cost within the reasonable bounds. And again, the other objectives include the level of customer service, cost of ordering and carrying the inventory. Effective inventory management is required for a system to keep track of inventory, reliable forecast of demand, what is the demand that are being required, because the demand will vary with respect to the seasons as well, and again it also respect to festivals, and demand will also require a lot of strategies that the company needs to follow, because if the demand is more, then you need to procure the raw material in such a way it should be higher, and if the demand is less, then you should procure the raw material in less quantity. If you procure more quantity when the demand is less, then it leads to higher inventory. When it leads to higher inventory, which means when you have higher inventory, which means uh, you are going to invest more money for the inventory investment, which means your denominator goes on the higher side, and again you're not going to sell your product to the customer because you have less demand, and again your inventory turnover is not going to be one or greater than one, it will be less than one. Okay, and this is not a good sign for the company. So it's always necessary to understand the demand, and again you should also understand the knowledge of the lead times. What is the lead time required to manufacture the product, or to get the parts from your supplier to your company. What will be their lead times, what will be the transit lead time, what is the time required for the particular company to manufacture the complete assembly or a product before they ship to the end customer. And the inventory management will also deal with the three type of costs. One is the holding cost, ordering cost, and then the shortage costs. And normally this effective inventory management will have the classification like A, B, C classification. A classification is the one which are having a high cost for the particular parts, and which are having under high value basically. And B is the one having the medium value and medium cost, and C is the one having low cost and low value parts. And the key inventory terms here is the lead time, which means the time interval between ordering and receiving the order. The time whatever required for ordering the parts to your supplier, and how much is the time required to receive the particular product. You call that as the lead time. And the holding cost is also called as a carrying cost. It is nothing but the cost to carry an item in inventory for a length of time. It can be usually a year uh, period. And the ordering cost is the one which means the cost of ordering and receiving inventory. And shortage costs are the one uh, which deals with the cost when demand exceeds the supply. When the demand is more than the supply, then you have a shortage cost. That's why it's very important that you need to analyze the demand and the demand basically. According to the demand, you need to either decrease your supply or increase your supply depending upon your high demand or low demand. And again, you should also ensure that you're going to have the key eye on the three type of costs, which are holding cost, ordering cost, and then shortage costs. Let us see where this procurement and inventory management are being widely used. Okay, this procurement and inventory management are being widely used across all sectors, across all domains, across globe. So we cannot restrict that this procurement and inventory management is not applicable to one particular company and is not applicable to the other company. Let us see what are all the areas or the sectors where this procurement and inventory management can be applied. This can be applied in finance, banking, and service industry, and it can also be applied in defense, aerospace, information technology, healthcare, supply chain, education and research, management, technical sales and marketing, military and homeland security, energy, public service, and also in manufacturing companies. So it almost across, it covers all the sectors where this procurement and inventory management are